去年7月呢，金砖银行正式更名为新开发银行，并在上海举行了开业仪式。那么，成立不到半年的新开发银行如何进行融资，又如何为成员国服务呢？面对新兴市场的资本流出，又将如何应对？那在刚刚结束的博鳌亚洲论坛上，第一财经专访了新开发银行副总裁兼首席财务官。
The president of New Development Bank, Mr. K.V. Kamath, said in an interview that the bank is going to sell about 1 billion long-term yuan-denominated bonds. Could you please tell us more about it?
The New Development Bank will have the flexibility to tap into both international capital markets, in other words, to international dollar-denominated bond issuances, but we will also look at domestic currency bond issuances. In addition, we will have other forms of capital raising in the form of bilateral loans, syndicated loans, and so on. The key point is that we will not only function in one US dollar operating currency. Our paid-in capital is in US dollars, our reporting currency is US dollars. Most multilateral development banks function mainly in US dollars. In our case, we will have the flexibility to also look at domestic currency bond issuances. We have decided, being directed by our board, to do the first bond issue in China.
Are you going to finance projects from non-BRICS countries?
For now, we will not invest in non-BRICS countries. The articles does not allow that. We can only focus on member countries.
The requirements in European, American, Chinese commodity markets is decreasing. So how do you face this challenge?
However, I think that the fundamental growth drivers that was underpinning the rapid rise of emerging markets in the last 20 years, between 1992 and today, the size of the contribution of emerging markets to the global economy has more than doubled. So the question is, has that stopped and slowed down, and are we now seeing in the markets waning? I think the many economists will agree that the underlying drivers, urbanization, demographics, we have a very young population in a large place like India, very young population in a place like South Africa, Brazil, and so on. The demographics in China is obviously changing because of your one-child policy, but urbanization, infrastructure investment, demographics, there's a lot of underlying fundamentals that will continue to provide growth impetus for the BRICS economies. China in turn is changing the path or the trajectory of its growth away from an export-driven and investment-led strategy towards a more consumption-led economy driven by innovation and so on.
Another challenge is the United States Federal Reserve System going to increase the interest rate the second time probably this summer. So how do you face the capital outflow from the emerging markets?
I think it's important to note that the US dollar is so dominant in the world economy right now. If you look at the total volume of foreign exchange transactions, US dollar probably constitutes north of 65% of the flows. The renminbi is something in the order of 5%. So there's still a significant gap between the anchor currency, the US dollar, Japanese yen, the euro and the British pound, and the renminbi. But the rate of growth will be high for the renminbi, but it's going to take many, many years. But in order for the benefits to be achieved, China will need to migrate towards a more flexible exchange rate. So right now, because the country wants to inhibit capital outflows, they're having a bit more of a controlled, exactly. But you cannot continue with that if you want to have a currency that plays that role as an international store of value. So there are trade-offs involved, but these are long-term changes. You're not going to see the products and the fruits of this change overnight.